Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So as you guys can see, they have released the new update 8.8 for the month of July. I was actually really looking forward to this update just because I was ready for some new stuff. Now this update is pretty identical to the last update, so at least as far as content is concerned, but there are a lot of balance changes. So we're going to go ahead and start by checking out the newest variants, starting with Death to Fire Annie. Now, did anybody else kind of figure we were going to get an Annie? I was thinking about this yesterday, or like last night really. I was like, they're probably going to come out with a new Annie. I don't know why, I just had a feeling that they were. I think it's just because they came out with Marie, who's like one of my favorite characters, and then Mana World's out and I really wanted to get her. And so I figured, you know what, they're probably going to come out with an Annie because I would love to get a new Annie, so that's what they did. Luckily, it is a gold, so it's going to be a lot easier to get than it would be if she was a diamond character. Anyways, also this color palette, I don't know if you guys remember, but I was saying that I really wanted to see this color palette come to the game because I posted a couple of videos about this where I would talk about different variants that I want to see in the game, specifically from Second Encore, and she was one of them. So anyways, let's go ahead and start by looking at her ability. Boon Collector. Annie gains unflinching and up to 20% star power when dashing. When activating star power at full meter, instantly empty it to gain 1 stack of permanent enrage and miasma each. When suffering a hit that would be fatal, consume all permanent buffs on Annie to stun the opponent for up to 2.5 seconds, and they then regain up to 50% max health, goodness gracious, per buff consumed. So her ability, it doesn't seem too crazy. It seems kind of, what's the word? I don't know. It doesn't seem too insane or anything like that, but it does seem like it's pretty decent since you can get permanent miasma and enrage, which is super helpful. Miasma is like really good, honestly, and rage is of course good too, but one thing I like about miasma is that not only can you drain the enemy's health, but you can also drain their blockbuster meter, which is really handy. So she actually seems pretty good, and I like that she kind of has like a built-in safety net type thing just in case you mess up, so that's pretty cool. So I'm definitely looking forward to using her. Hopefully I can actually get her. We'll see though. Alright, next we have Killing Time Eliza. I'm thinking this character is based on the Hades 2 girl, but I don't know what her name is, so anyways. Okay, let's look at her ability. From the Abyss, charge attacks are extended with an extra hit and can be charged longer for extra damage. Landing a charge attack grants permanent Deadeye and adds up to 2% blockbuster meter for each hit landed until the end of her combo. Blockbuster hits inflict curs for up to 10 seconds. If a blockbuster hit occurs after a charge attack in the same combo, gain up to 5 stacks of permanent enrage until the end of her combo. So you guys are going to have to tell me how you feel about her, because I can already tell you right now, even if I do get her, I'm probably not going to use her. I'm not really the biggest Eliza fan, so I just don't see myself using her, but she sounds kind of, I don't want to say she sounds complicated, but there's like a lot going on in this, so I'm just like, I don't know if I'm ever going to use her. But yeah, she seems pretty cool too, I guess. I prefer Annie, mainly because I just prefer Annie as a character, but yeah. All right, what's next? Okay, so the Headliner Relic Fighter Pool, we don't really need to talk much about this. Of course, they increase the chances of, well, they do show you what's to come with the reworks, because like I said, there were balance changes. I guess it'd be more accurate just to call them reworks though, because there were some straight up reworks. But anyways, they of course increase the chances of getting the new Annie and the new Eliza in the relics, but yeah. All right, let's go to, okay, prize fight updates. So the newest prize fight is Sink or Swim. It's going to be like the Hot Mess prize fight in that you have to use water characters, or you have to have at least one water character rather. I like this artwork though. I like Beowulf as a fisherman. And they do have the new daily events, or the headliner events rather, that you can use to get some pretty good rewards. Last time I did the squiggly one because I managed to get squiggly. You know what, I will say if I do get Eliza, I probably will level her up at least a little bit, enough to get through this event, because the rewards are actually pretty good. All right, so time for the big part of the update, in my opinion. I guess the other stuff was probably bigger, but I think it's just been a while since we've gotten like a whole bunch of reworks, and there's a lot to look through. So we're going to start with the first one, which is Freeze Frame Peacock. All right, so Freeze Frame's Peacock's ability, her old ability at least, the way it worked is her projectiles had a 50% chance on hit to inflict slow and wither for 15 seconds, and if the enemy used a blockbuster, both effects would be removed, something I totally forgot about. When slow or wither expires, the opponent suffers damage equal to up to 50% of Peacock's attack and is stunned for 3 seconds. Now, they changed this. Okay, first off, I want to say her old ability, as cool as it was when it actually activated, it was kind of hard to pull off because typically the enemy would tag out before their wither or slow would expire, so they would never get stunned. And it was always kind of annoying because you had to reapply those debuffs onto the enemy. So that's one thing that kind of sucked about her old ability. Now with her new ability, the way it works is her projectile hits inflict wither for up to 9 seconds while the opponent is not fatigued. When the opponent reaches 5 stacks of wither, remove all wither stacks to inflict fatigue for 5 seconds and set the opponent's special move Antagons on cooldown. When removing wither from the opponent, deal damage equal to up to 50% of Peacock's attack per stack of wither removed and heal for 25% max health. Now this second part of her ability, at first when I read it, I thought it sounded kind of lame because I'm like, you get rid of all of the enemy's wither just to do the same amount of damage as she would do before, but no, the way it works is they take damage up to the number of stacks that they have. So, and they only get removed when, well, actually, how does that work? Now I'm wondering because, well, never mind, whatever. Sorry, I was thinking like, what if you use a character, what if you pair her with somebody that can remove debuffs? But actually, that's not even a thing. What am I talking about? I'm losing it, you guys. But yeah, her ability seems a little stronger now. So I'm gonna have to see how it works because I used her for no mercy once, but I'm going to have to test her out again. And it should be easy because I've already leveled her up. All right, next we have Brain Freeze Cerebell. Well, also her ability should be a lot easier to activate because like I said, if the enemy tagged out, then her ability was like somewhat useless. Not, well, the second part of her ability was useless. The first part was still good. All right, Brain Freeze. Guys, I didn't get a whole lot of sleep. Brain Freeze Cerebella. Okay, her old ability, attack damage is increased by up to 3% of your current health. And damage inflicted by the opponent is reduced by up to 3% per opponent combo hit. Very simple, very much a character that I did not use. Now the way her new ability works, which is totally different, while near the opponent, inflict immobilize and slow for up to 12 seconds every 3 seconds. Reduce the opponent's attack by 3% for every second they are immobilized until the tag out. Deal up to 6% max health as damage to the opponent when either fighter is knocked down while the opponent is immobilized. So her new ability sounds pretty... Well, first off, it's drastically different than before. Like, it's totally different. I don't even think there's really anything that's similar. I guess she reduces the enemy's attack, but her old ability didn't really do that. I don't know. Her max health drain sounds pretty cool. I don't know if I'm ever going to use her, to be honest, but you guys are going to have to let me know what you think about her. I think her new ability sounds pretty interesting. It makes her sound more unique, I guess. So there's that. Okay, this is a character that I don't hate, but I feel like I'm going to start to hate her with the way that they changed her up. Okay, so now we have Plot Twisted Squiggly. Her old ability, once per match, resurrect with up to 50% max health, also gain 5 random debuffs for 10 seconds and 5 stacks of thorns for 20 seconds. Deal up to 50% bonus damage for each active debuff stack applied to Squiggly. Okay, so her old ability was a little annoying if you didn't have somebody with Deadeye or if you didn't really have a counter to her. I just realized you guys are probably seeing me turn up my brightness. It's kind of dark. But anyways, so her old ability was a little bit annoying because of the thorns, but the way her new ability works is reflect 10% of all damage taken per debuff on Squiggly, max 40%. Also, once per match, resurrect with up to 50% max health, 50% health, and 4 random debuffs for 15 seconds each. Suffer a random debuff for up to 8 seconds every 4 seconds. Squiggly's non-blockbuster hits deal 1% max health as damage to the opponent per debuff on either fighter, max 3%. Okay, her second ability sounds nice. Well, except for the suffering a random debuff, that sounds like a pain in the butt if you're ever going to use her like as an offensive character. But on defense, she sounds like a nightmare. I hate damage reflect already. And the fact that she just has damage reflect on her at all times, basically, well, as long as she has a debuff, is going to suck so bad, because that means that I'm going to have to figure out something to counter her with, because it's not even enough to just have Deadeye, because yeah, Deadeye counters thorns and makes it so you don't take damage from that, but if her ability just naturally reflects damage onto you, then Deadeye isn't going to do anything. You're going to have to use Hex, or have some kind of invincibility, or have some way to heal yourself. So I'm scared, you guys, because I do not like this at all. It just makes her sound super annoying. All right, next we have Dead of Winter Squiggly. Okay, her old ability, resurrect with 25% health and 5 stacks of armor after being dead for up to 30 seconds. A stack of armor is removed after every hit suffered. Deal up to 100% bonus damage while benefiting from armor. Okay, so I actually didn't even know what her old ability did, aside from the fact that she could come back to life, but I didn't even realize she gained armor or anything like that. So her new ability, while Squiggly is alive, the active fighter inflicts Wither for 10 seconds and gains armor every up to 10. This feels weird to say up to 10 seconds when it's like decreasing. I'll just say she gains armor every 10 seconds, or whoever is the active fighter gains armor every 10 seconds. These effects are removed when knocked down. Okay, when the active fighter is benefiting from this armor and about to suffer a debuff, remove armor to prevent it and gain up to 40% blockbuster meter. So her new ability sounds a lot more useful for support reasons. Her old ability was just mainly like a defensive thing. Although I guess you probably could have taken advantage of her like damage increase from armor, but she just came across as a defensive variant to me. But her new ability makes her more of a support, which is kind of interesting. And she's like a weird support because now she makes it so the active fighter inflicts Wither. That's pretty cool. And I like the armor gain. I feel like you could probably use this in conjunction with other characters. And I also like that she can prevent debuffs by sacrificing armor and giving you blockbuster meter at the same time. So she actually sounds pretty cool. I might level her up, honestly, just because I like to have multiple support options. So yeah, next, okay, we're almost done, I think. There's so many changes. Okay, yeah, we are almost done. All right, next we have Mist Match Double. So I actually used her in the past I think I tried to use her for doubles. I forgot why I used her. I used her something related to double. I just don't remember. Okay, the way her old ability works, while sharing the opponent's same element, gain up to 100% chance to mirror all of an opponent's buffs anytime the opponent gains a buff, which I thought was kind of lame, to be honest. But I guess it's not bad. It's just kind of specific. And I feel like it's hard to pull off. All right. Gain up to 3 stacks of precision when a buff expires. I also feel like that is kind of not great. Now the way her new ability works is while sharing the opponent's same element, gain 1 stack of precision up to or every second, and all hits deal 100% bonus damage. Doubles precision hits deal up to 2% max health as damage to the opponent's teammates. Oh, to the opponent's teammates? I didn't read that part. Oh my god, I didn't know that. Okay, I read this morning, but I didn't even realize that it affected the entire team. That's pretty crazy. Okay, her new ability is way more interesting and better overall. And I feel like because of the whole precision thing, you can kind of build her with critical damage in mind. And maybe you can even ignore critical hits. I don't know. Although I guess if you do use her, you're probably better off not giving her chaos and instead relying more on her other marquee ability. I don't know. She is a lot more interesting than I thought. Okay, next we have Rain Shadow Fukua. I think this is the last of the reworks. Alright, the way her old ability worked was 50% chance when landing a blocked hit to inflict armor break and power surge for up to 15 seconds each, which is dumb. You have to hit the enemy while they're blocking. After 5 seconds while on Fukua's side of the stage and while not stunned, opponents lose all current buffs and suffer fatigue for up to 10 seconds each. Alright, I feel like her new ability is actually pretty similar to her old ability. Okay, next, her new ability, 50% chance when landing a hit, including blocked hits, so it doesn't just activate with blocked hits, you can just hit the enemy regularly and it'll be fine. To inflict armor break and power surge for up to 15, why do I keep saying 15%? Up to 15 seconds each. Every 5 seconds while Fukua is on the opponent's side of the stage, and while not stunned, opponents lose all current buffs and suffer stun for up to 4 seconds. So she's like identical to her old self, but she's just improved. So she actually sounds pretty cool. I'm trying to think of what circumstances I would use her in. I think just the fact that she can like stun the enemy is really nice, because there's not really any prerequisites other than being on the enemy's side of the stage. So, and that's pretty easy. So yeah, she doesn't seem so bad. Next we have balance changes. So I guess to quickly talk about these reworks, I feel like they're all really good. I need to test out freeze frame, but the rest of them just sound overall better. I mean, I think I'm gonna hate Plot Twisted more than I did before, but it is what it is. Okay, balance changes. Soulbound Annie. SA1 now only triggers while below 50% star power. I believe SA1 is the ability that lets it so, or that makes it so whenever she has a well-timed block, she gains evasion. So I guess now, oh, and also whenever she would get that, she'd also gain 50% star power meter. So at least I think, yeah, she would. So they made it so you can only have access to that, or that ability will only work while she's below 50% star power meter, which is kind of interesting. I don't know. To be honest, I activate it as soon as I get it, so I never really use it after that. Well, I do, but every time I end up using it, it's because my star power is below 50%, so yeah. Next we have Fatal Fray Misfortune. Okay, SA1's attack and defense reductions are now removed when Misfortune tags out or is defeated. SA2's condition changed from when either fighter uses uses a special move to when either fighter successfully hits with a special move. All right, so what do I have to say about this? Yes, I hate Fatal Frey. She sucks. She's annoying to fight against. I'm so glad that they changed her because I don't like her at all, and therefore this will only ever benefit me because I'm never going to use her. So haha. But in all seriousness, I'm kind of glad that they changed the second part of her ability because it was such a pain whenever I would use a special move and then I would just get hit with all these debuffs. To be fair, that's still probably going to happen because, I don't know, I'm probably going to use a special move and connect with it. I'm guessing when it says successfully hits, it means like when you actually hit the enemy with it and not if they block the hit. I assume that's what that means, but I don't know. Also, I like that the attack and defense reductions are removed. That's pretty nice. So, yeah, she got nerfed. I guess technically Soulbound Annie also got nerfed. Okay, next we have Megalomaniac Marie. Okay, so this, I feel like I can't even tell if you'd consider this a nerf. Okay, SA2's stun effect now starts counting to 10 seconds once the conditions are met, rather than stunning when the fight timer hits 15-second intervals and the conditions are met. The stun from Megalomaniac was occurring when the fight timer hit 15 seconds intervals. Gosh, I don't know why I cannot read today. Now it will start the timer once Megalomaniac meets the condition and is the active fighter. If the opponent tags out, this will reset the stun timer for the new fighter as well. Okay, so, I mean, I kind of just explained the way that her ability worked right there, but yeah, it was kind of annoying fighting Megalomaniac, but at the same time, it was really easy to tell when you would get stunned. Okay, so, like it says, the way her stun worked was weird. It did it, rather than doing it by like some kind of counter, it would just use the time from the timer. So it would just do it every 15 seconds, which means that, like I said, at certain intervals, so like at the 2-minute mark or the 2-minute and 30-second mark or 2-minute 45-second mark, you would know exactly well, actually 2-minute 45 seconds is like really early. Okay, whatever. At the 2-minute mark, at the 1-minute 30-second mark, you would know exactly when her stun was going to hit you, which meant you could kind of time it to give yourself immunity if you were using somebody like Starshine that can give herself immunity to prevent it from happening. But it was still kind of annoying. Like, I don't know. I feel like it was just weird the way it worked. So I kind of like that they changed it to be 10 seconds instead. And I also like that you can tag out to avoid it because based on what it says, tagging out makes it so it'll reset the timer, which is nice. But I don't know if this is considered a nerf or not. Her ability is still annoying because, I mean, technically now it's only 10 seconds that you have instead of 15, but oh well, at least it's easier to avoid if you want to do like a tag out strategy. I'm gonna ignore the rest of this stuff because I don't really have anything to say about it. So yeah, and you can take a survey if you guys want. They had this up last time and I actually totally forgot to take it, so I might take it this time. I don't know. Okay, I clicked on it just to see what would happen, and I just realized that the tabs up here are totally visible, so that's cool. Were they always like this? What the heck? Whatever. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know what you guys are the most excited for. For me, I think I'm the most excited for all these weird reworks because, well, except for Plot Twisted, but all the other ones, I feel like they breathed new life into certain characters, which I'm happy about. So I'm definitely excited to try those out. And I'm also excited for the new Annie because, like I said, I've been wanting this specific color palette for a while. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys again next time, but goodbye for now.